But thank you all for joining us this evening, and I'll keep this short. The class, in the period of 6 weeks during this summer, we will take you through the journey of making a film. It's a tight schedule, but somehow we'll get through it. And so the type of film we're going to make is a documentary film, and a documentary film can be many different things. It can be, it's documenting, it's chronicling, but it could be the type of a chronicle where it could be a personal film, a personal essay, or it could be journalism, where you're functioning as producers, reporters, reporting on a story. And it could be a number of different things in between. The most important thing that I want to just point out right now is that in order to be able to pull off making a film in 6 weeks, is that we have to kind of figure out ahead of time what it is we're going to do. So everyone in the class will make their own film and will collaborate on other people's films. So we're going to be meeting for several hours every day for 6 weeks. So we are going to be in the spring focusing on your stories, and in the summer working collaboratively on each other's films. So as much as we can. But in the spring, what we're going to do is develop what are called treatments. And a treatment is basically is a document that basically tells a story, and it tells a story that you've researched. So I'm going to encourage you folks to find a story that you're really in love with and that you really care about and you're passionate about, and that will carry you through. Okay, because you don't want, you want some motivation here. So initially, the idea is to come up with a topic and focus it in a way that you can actually make a film within the 6 weeks and tell a story within approximately 10 minutes. The film could go longer. Some of your films would go longer. Some of them would be shorter, but I think a 10-minute film is doable. And so what that means is that initially coming up with a topic and saying, okay, well, I want to make a film about social justice. And I will ask you the question, well, what about social justice? You could do hours and hours and hours on social justice. And basically we'll trim it down until you find a story, a piece about, it could be anything. It could be Black Lives Matter in Oakland. It could be about the Cal football team. It could be many different things, but the idea is to focus your story early on. Now, after we kind of figure out what your topic is, and in the process, you need to talk to people who are involved. You need to do research. You need to get on the phone and contact people and figure out what the story is. And for me, the research is really fun, because you come up with an idea and then you start to talk to people and you learn, and you learn things you never expected. People will tell you things and make you see the story in perhaps a different way that you never had anticipated. So it's the learning process. And so it's basically you're starting to develop relationships with these folks. It'll be on the phone this spring or on Zoom, but you're starting to figure out the story, okay? And this is where the story starts to take shape. You may talk to one person and they'll lead you to another person and they'll lead you to another person. And basically by the end of the semester, you will have figured out who it is you're going to talk to, who are the people, your main protagonists, what are the questions you're going to ask them, and basically in 4 or 5 pages, write out the story, the way you see it, the way you've researched it. You will also look for locations, footage, that kind of thing to help flesh out your story. So basically you are problem solving and creating the story ahead of time so that when the summer session starts, you're pretty much ready to go, okay? Now, the way it will work, the way I've kind of mapped it out is that in week 1, we all get together and we kind of review everybody's treatments and figure out, okay, what's our schedule? We do the planning and we start scheduling and we lock in interviews, because by week 2, you guys are going to be shooting. So I'm figuring week 1 prep, week 2 and 3 shooting, week 4, 5, and 6 you're editing and kind of going back and shooting things you missed. So it moves really fast. The time-consuming part is the edit, because you will have all this material that you have to figure out. What am I going to do with it? And you're going to go revert back to your treatment and say, oh, this is the outline. This is the document that I started out with. How do I fit in the parts? So working with you folks this spring is going to be essential. And I already have, I'm teaching Ethnic Studies 122 AC this spring, and I'm working with several students that are going to be joining us in the summer, and they're already starting to think about their topics. And for those of you who want to take this class, I will work with you folks individually. Susan and I are trying to set up a kind of a way of doing that, so that we're in sync with your professors in terms of developing these treatments. So spring, the working together this spring and solving problems and focusing your story is absolutely essential in order for us to move forward and start working on the production in summer. The program will provide cameras, some pretty basic cameras, but if you have cameras of your own, you're welcome to use them. There's cameras and microphones and a tripod, basically. And you will have the you already have available Premiere, actually the Adobe Suite, which has Premiere software, where you will edit on your laptops, on your computers, on your home computers, if you have an iMac or whatever. You will be able to edit. And that software is available to all of you as part of the tuition that you pay Cal. So we have, the basics covered. It's going to be the summer's going to, those 6 weeks are going to go by very fast. It's going to be quite a ride, but I think it could be quite enjoyable, and I think it'd be a wonderful experience for you guys to work on your own films and to collaborate with other people on their films. I think we learn a lot from each other, and I'm looking forward to it. Susan, anything else? Have I missed?
I would just, no, that sounds great. So I just want to tell students what the next steps are if they're interested. Number 1, go to futurehistories.berkeley.edu and go to the course page for Professor Teos's class. Click on the application. You have to apply to get into this class. And then once you fill out that application, then we'll have your email address and we'll get in touch with you and help you get in touch with Professor Teos to start working right away. That's the main message we want to get out tonight. If you want to take this course in the summer, you need to apply, you need to start working now, and you also need to register. The registration period, as you know, for summer courses has just started. So those are the steps in order to get ready to start taking the class in session A in the summer. And so, yeah, so if anybody has any questions, please go ahead.
I think Kimberly had a question about treatments. Is that true, Kimberly? I can't hear.
Kim, we can't hear you.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I was just adjusting my screens. I had pulled up that link to look at the application page. Just starting this research that I just delved into. I am really interested in lack of public housing. And then it kind of ties into this history, sort of this direction that Susan sort of suggested and sent me on. And the more I read about it, the more I am interested in perhaps telling the story of why we do have such a lack of public housing and the entities that take place, or the powerful, like, moneyed interests that play a role in keeping us from having adequate amounts of public housing for workers who make less than a living wage in the Bay Area. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, and that's all I've got so far. But that's sort of the direction I'm looking toward at the moment. So I think I understand from what you said though, like how I should be approaching it. So at this point, I think I'm gonna fill out the application and then
okay.
go forward from there. But if you have any suggestions.
Yeah. Well, the idea is, let's start talking, because how do you shape this documentary, right? Is essential. So you're going to have to give context. So figure out how to do that, how much time we do use doing that, and see if we can find a story that illustrates the bigger point, the bigger themes. But that's why we need to start working out to kind of figure it out and really kind of plot it out. Do an outline of the film, and the treatment basically will include all of your a description of the research that you've done, who you're going to talk to on camera, what kind of questions and what they're going to cover, and what images are you going to use. So this is all kind of figuring it out ahead of time, because if we wait till summer, it will be impossible to, there's no way we can do it, because we'll spend weeks just trying to figure out the story. So filmmaking is problem solving. Let's solve as many problems as we can this spring. Great. See you soon.